Hey, good morning, everybody. It's early mornings LALATE. Did you crush the memo? Yesterday, no less than 2 memos were debuted by congressional leaders to basically say, we have no idea what we're doing on stimulus. If you got confused by what went on yesterday between memos, retracted memos, joining parties, not joining parties, throwing Mitch under the bus, and stimulus and CRs and CRs and stimulus, and I'll be cutting through all that and getting to the core and explaining it to you in this video. A lot of breaking developments. People want to give you stimulus, they just don't want to give you the correct stimulus. And they want to give rich people stimulus for their rich businesses and aren't focusing on millions of Americans who need the stimulus right now. Stimulus check, eviction protection, mortgage forbearance. Those key issues seem to be a flighty concern to these elected officials. They seem to continually forget about these issues. We're getting them back on track though. And we're also getting you big money, thousands of dollars for rent, utilities, food, EIDL, and escalated benefits. It's a great morning. We're going to get through it together. We're going to get to the finish line. We're going to get exactly what we want. And if we don't, we're shutting down the government. This is Early Mornings LALATE. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Early Mornings LA. This is the 6 a.m. edition, and I'm you're here, and the toast is toast, and the butter is buttery, and I'm so glad you joined me on a day in which we sort of, we need to recoup. And I was really proud of this channel and its followers yesterday. I was proud of you a lot because I saw in no less than 2 chats where I went live on Holidays LALATE, I went live on Purple Power, where viewers were aligned in common thought of why this has really just become a debacle. And that we just sort of were just shocked and horrified that elected officials would continually not focus on the key issues and focus on issues that are really lobbyists, big business, big corporate spenders type issues, and not focus on us. But the big focus is to get you money. And if you've not subscribed, please do. Go to the front channel, subscribe, because I'm getting viewers money right now. Not 5 weeks from now, not 5 days from now. Big money, thousands of dollars, upwards of $20,000 for rent grant, 6 months, 12 months, 3 months of rent grant, and utilities across the country. I'm doing, and the 9 volunteers who have absolutely been wonderful and godsends are helping you around the clock to get these grants. Getting them right now, because this is CARES Act 1 money. This is a dedicated money that you need to grab right now. It's not going to be around forever. So please subscribe, because I'm getting you this money by the minute, despite what's going to go on with Congress. I'll be getting to those Congress people in a second. Also, like this video. It really helps in the rankings, and Early Mornings LA has been traditionally ranking #1, so let's keep it there. If you're just joining me now at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is a live instant premiere. So as an instant premiere, you can follow along on the side and chat with your Purple Power friends. It's a great feature because you see the same familiar faces every morning, and you get your morning cup of coffee, and you see the same faces every morning. It's like the same community. I have that same community through all the live recordings on this channel, and I see the same faces, and that's why I specifically asked where you're from, because that's a way for me to remember the name even more clear. So sit back and enjoy familiar faces as you watch Early Mornings LA and chat along as an instant premiere, and join me at the bottom of the hour at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with a continuation of the show where I do the same thing as well. It's a lot of fun. And thank you for joining me. And now let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you sit here today is that Congress just made a mess of themselves yesterday. I don't want to go over every step of the way, but I do want to go over the salient points because they really are just screwy. And I want you to understand where we are today. Where we are today to start is there are 2 competing forces, a stimulus bill, a temporary stimulus bill, and a continuing resolution, which is a budget bill to fund the federal budget that needs to be done every 3 months. We also call that a CR for continuing resolution. Now, the stimulus bill is still going to get done. It's going to be a very big bill. It's going to have the $2,400 for SSI and SSDI. It's going to have the hazard pay. It's going to have all the things that should have in it. But that's not now. We're just a few days before the holidays. No one has time to do that. They've had 6 months to do it, and they haven't gotten to it. But they're just not going to do it in the next few days. So what they are, and they're going to do it after the holidays. Yeah, presumably. But what is possible now is a temporary stimulus in a continuing resolution bill, a stimulus in the CR. There is no time to do a temporary stimulus bill by itself because no one wants to particularly do it, nor let alone can agree to what's really temporary and what's not temporary. Let me give you an example. When I say to you we're going to do a big stimulus bill in January, that means that we really just need a stimulus temporary fix between now and January, correct? Okay. Well, some people can't figure out something as basic as that. And yesterday started with Chuck Schumer introducing his temporary bill, which gave relief to people for 3.5 years. I'm like, it's a temporary bill, Chuck. What do you not understand with a temporary emergency bill? It should not have anything in it that goes for 3.5 years. By the end of the day, he was withdrawing the memo or whatever, memo draft of the bill, or whatever you call it. It was never introduced anywhere, so there was no formal actual bill. That's the thing that is temporary. Now, the CR has to get done. It has to be done by December 11th. It has to be signed by the president and first voted on and approved in the Senate and approved by the House. What is important to understand is it has to be something that everyone agrees upon. I laugh because, it's just such a nice visual to see them not getting their stimulus checks, their salary checks, and seeing how it feels after all these months. As one viewer said, karma is just wonderful. So they all have to agree, and they have to be forced to agree. The alternative is the federal government shuts down, and they don't get a check. So December 11th can come around, and ultimately, it only takes one of these groups to say no, and the one group could be the president. Yesterday, Mitch McConnell said those exact words. Then ultimately, you can all talk about what you want to do. The president has the ultimate veto policy, and he may veto the final bill when you give it to him because he does not have in it what he wanted to have in it. Thank you, Mitch, for giving us that important reminder. So how did the day start yesterday? Well, it started with a bunch of senators saying we're going to do it our way and we're not going to consult with the president and we're going to do it exactly our way and shove it down the president's throat. That's not how you do bills. I just don't know where you think that works. It doesn't work. And those are people included someone who has had a consistent problem dealing with anything that is written by the president of the United States, Donald Trump. Mitt Romney. So Mitt Romney grandstanded and introduced a horrible bill, memo, again. And it was basically, do it my way or the highway. Well, again, the president's not going to do the highway because the president doesn't have to sign your bill. That's the way it works. And no one thought of anything of that bill ever lasting even a second beyond it. But it came back to life by the end of the day when Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi said, you know what? Everything that we said for the last 7 months, stimulus checks, $600 of FPUC, children going hungry, money for children, food, testing, forget about it. We'll just agree to what Mitt Romney wants. Excuse me? Excuse me? Did I hear this? Now, by the end of the day, they were also changing their words and saying, well, we still want to make some changes, but we generally agree. What does that mean, generally agree? Sort of pregnant? I don't know where you are with this, Nancy. Again, my interpretation of it, a lot of wasting time, a lot of political mind games, and ultimately, I think what they're trying to say is we're doing anything that is anti-Mitch McConnell, which is just ridiculous because Mitch McConnell has to approve something in the Senate. And if it's not approved in the Senate, the government's going to shut down. As you sit here now at the 8-minute mark, what's important to understand is that Mitch McConnell's bill can be fixed because it's only missing 3 things. And those 3 things are things that he said before he would give you. So why not give it to us, Mitch? Why do you keep on forgetting to put it in there? Stimulus check, eviction moratorium, and mortgage forbearance. And we're good. we're good to January. We're good to January. He would give you 6 weeks of PUA, it would not expire. He would give you 6 weeks of UI, it would not expire. He'd give you eviction moratorium, you would not be evicted. You give you mortgage forbearance, you would not have your house foreclosed upon, and he'd give you a stimulus check. And then we would come back in January, we would do SSI and SSDI. We would do FPUC retroactive to late July. We would do another round of stimulus checks. We would do hazard pay. We'd do all those things. And we'd be fine. You see how the path for Mitch McConnell is so very clean. And then we look at Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer's path, and it literally is just a wasteland of mess. They have a thing where they say they want to give $400 billion to state and local. The president's never going to sign anything that has a $1 for state and local at this point. Everyone is so sick of hearing about state and local. It is never going to pass anywhere with this president of the United States. Ever. I mean, it's never going to see time of day. Then they wanted to, what were the other things? I don't know. There was so much bad stuff in there. There was no stimulus checks. It was like 90 things of bad stuff that shouldn't be in there, and that everything that's important was not in there. So you see with Mitch's bill, it was really tight. It was too tight because it didn't have the stimulus check, didn't have the eviction moratorium and the mortgage forbearance, but it didn't have a lot of hideous, horrible excess. It had something for the fish, which is like, okay, really, Mitch? It had something for the cows, which is like, okay, maybe I can live with sirloin, gain some more money. And then it had deducting your business lunches, which is sort of ridiculous because this is December. So why are we talking about things you can deduct earlier this year? It's like, people go out because they can deduct it. So you're going to say, okay, I'm going to let you deduct your business lunches. Well, thank you, but the restaurants are closed, so I don't know where you're deducting business lunches from. There's no inside dining in most of America right now. So the fact that he includes it is sort of ridiculous, and it's like, okay, it's ridiculous and stupid, but I'm not going to dwell on how stupid it is because ultimately it doesn't take money away from us. So the purple power, which you need to be, is taking this video and tagging McConnell, his press secretary, and his chief of staff and saying, put in stimulus checks, put in eviction moratorium, and we're good. Eviction moratorium, mortgage forbearance, and stimulus checks. And we're good, Mitch. And that should be the message. Yesterday, late in the day, Barack Obama said, we need new Democrats. Barack Obama, the president, said, we need some new Democrats. Do you think he was referring to anyone? I think he was. This was after Chuck Schumer said, this is all these things I want. And then by the end of the day, he's like, throw it away. I'll just start over again. It's just crazy. All right, so now let's turn to getting you money. Moolah. CARES Act 1 money that is yours to get. What's important to understand when you're looking for the money for rent, eviction, rent, and utilities and food is that you start with your city, your county, and your state housing authority. I think at this point, the viewers understand where to look, which is really good because I've been doing this for now, about 12 days, 13 days. I've been doing this series. And I think you now know where to look, but you don't know how to deal with when you reach a blockade. And so some viewers, for example, are reaching blockades. Let me use Kentucky and Mississippi as examples. So Kentucky and Mississippi, some viewers are having problems looking for rent grants, and suddenly they reach a location for the city, county, and state, and they say, there's just nothing there. I just don't know where to look anymore. Well, one viewer got rent grants in Kentucky in the last 48 hours, and another viewer got rent grants in Mississippi in the last 48 hours. But they did not get them from the city or county. They got them from private religious organizations or action groups or community action networks. And they got them from looking a little bit deeper than something that's on the surface. What's important to understand is that the volunteers of this channel know those locations to get those grants. And the volunteers jump into Purple Power Live every night when those locations for those grants are announced by viewers who found them. They say, I found it, it was here in this location, and they all take notes. So what's important to understand is that this is how you have to sort of think out of the box. That if you look and you're like, I can't really find anything, where is this? Then reach out to the volunteers at youtube.com/LALATE and they will find it for you. Next, escalated benefits and EIDL. The volunteers are generally not as sophisticated for EIDL. I am. We do have the private, which is in the pinned comment that you can go ask a mentor. I had mentors, and I still do, for EIDL. But generally, EIDL viewers have been able to do it themselves, and you've done a wonderful job. So I want you to have confidence in yourself in doing EIDLs. I record how to fill out EIDLs throughout the day. I'll do it on the video after this at 6:30. And then finally, escalate benefits. Some viewers have said, is there a volunteer that can help me do the escalate benefits? You can do it. It's a simple letter. I mean, just a simple letter. Here's my 2019 tax return. See if I qualify for additional weekly benefits. Thank you. And then you call them up, and the next day you call them up, and the day after you call them up, and you keep on calling them up. It's pretty simple. I don't think you need any help with that. Just tell me when it works. And tell me your success stories. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, 6:30 edition, is I'm going to go over my predictions on what's going to happen with the CR. Then I'll go over EIDL and escalated benefits, and a little bit more on Here's Echo and Grants. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay in that life for more.